back with a new app that lets you buy food from a stranger's kitchen. It's an app out of New York called Homemade. It allows hobbyist cooks to sell food out of their homes to total strangers. Apparently, hundreds of cooks are selling to strangers out there. The question is, would you eat food from a stranger's home kitchen?
Nope.
Actually, is there anyone who would in the audience? One person, 2, 3, 4 out of about 2 or 3% of our audience. Okay, that's a few. Well, Nick is the creator of the Homemade app. He's joining us via Skype. And Nick, thank you for being with us. But why did you create the app, and how exactly does it work?
The app was inspired by my grandmother's cooking, actually, and kind of the homemade food that I grew up with from neighbors and from my own mother as well. And the way that it works is cooks, once they're approved, have the ability to create listings for different meals. And then we manage little marketing campaigns out to their friends and their mutual friends that those folks can then purchase.
Ah, so it's kind of, they're not particularly strangers per se. They're actually kind of in your same network.
Yeah, this is actually a common misconception. Almost never people are selling food to strangers. On average, a cook brings about 25 people with them, and they start out sharing that food with friends, and then it grows to mutual friends. So think about it like the nice lady in your neighborhood who likes to sell food or cooks amazing homemade treats.
But that's the way it's designed. But the reality is I could go online in the app and I could get food from a stranger, right? If I wanted to.
If you wanted to, yes, certainly. And there are reviews of that food, but we see very, very little of that at this point.
And Nick, how do you put people at ease? I'm sure most people's concern is that people are preparing things fresh, safely, in a hygienic manner. How do you assure us that that's what's happening?
One of the things that is very important to remember here is that it's an individual's brand, right? So their face and their cooking brand is behind this food. So when they are thinking about preparing that, particularly for their friends, there is a strong desire to uphold that. Whereas someone in a fast food restaurant or that is making minimum wage doesn't necessarily have that concern for McDonald's or Chick-fil-A's brand value.
And so, Nick, I think the concept is great, but it just seems to me like the whole point here is actually to monetize ultimately to strangers. I mean, otherwise, I don't want to pay my neighbor for them to make me dinner.
But you should, because food is expensive. Right, organic chicken breast, some organic broccoli.
Right, but the whole point of neighbors is, you know what, you do that, and then I take you out to dinner. It's one of the coolest things about social interactions is the concept, oh, we're going to go have dinner at Julie's house tonight. Well, and does this create sort of the merchant and purchaser as opposed to the dynamic that we all grew up with?
What we found is that it's mainly cooks that are uncomfortable with that. Usually the friends, and as you build to mutual friends, you start working towards people you've never met before. But they're very happy to pay for that.
I applaud the concept.
I like it.
But I'm going to tell you right now, my pet peeve is restaurants are given a food grade. And the fact of the matter is, you start ordering food from a random stranger, that you can't control what they may or may not put in that food. There's no regulation in that. That's my only issue. But I do want to bring Jillian on board. She uses the app. She enjoys it. She's on Skype. So Jillian, you've been using this, getting food from others who've made it in their own kitchen. Your experience has been pretty positive.
Yeah, so I've actually been using the app since early September for both personal use and for my office. I've actually catered events using homemade chefs. And I'm actually a huge fan of it.
Thank you, Jillian, for sharing your experience. And Nick, I have to say kudos. Very creative app. I mean, really thinking outside the box.
I like it.
Ultimately, if this grows, which I'm sure is what Nick wants, they're going to have to regulate it. Just is what it is. We'll be right back.